Part 1. The alarm rang through the station at exactly 3 in the morning. Hyun was already awake, sitting in the observation room with a cup of coffee. Sleep never came easy when working on a space station that orbited an alien world. The stars looked different here, and the silence felt heavier than anywhere on Earth. The alarm meant only one thing. An emergency case was coming in. Hyun stood up and walked quickly to the medical bay. Other staff members were already gathering there, their faces showing worry and confusion. Dr. Toval, the chief veterinarian, stood in the center of the room. His insect-like body was completely still, which Hyun had learned meant he was very stressed. Dr. Toval's species showed emotion through movement. When they stopped moving, something was terribly wrong. "We have a situation," Dr. Toval said. His voice came out through a translator device that made it sound flat and emotionless. "A mining colony has sent us a wounded animal. They found it near their dig site." Nurse Kix, who glowed softly blue in the dim light, spoke up. "What kind of animal?" Dr. Toval was quiet for a moment. Then he said the word that made everyone in the room freeze: "A thornback." Hyun felt their heart beat faster. Everyone in the galaxy knew about thornbacks. They were massive creatures covered in black armor that could stop bullets. Long spines made of crystal grew from their backs, and these spines could cut through metal. Thornbacks were known as one of the most dangerous predators in known space. More importantly, no one had ever successfully treated an injured thornback. Every attempt had ended in death, usually the death of the people trying to help. "We cannot refuse," Dr. Toval continued. "Galactic law requires us to treat all endangered species. Thornbacks are protected." "Protected?" one of the technicians said. "They should be avoided." "Do you know how many people thornbacks have killed?" 47, Hyun said quietly. Everyone turned to look at them. "In the last 100 years, 47 deaths during capture or treatment attempts." I read the reports. Dr. Toval's antennae twitched, which meant surprise. "You studied thornbacks?" "I study all dangerous species," Hyun replied. "It's my job." Hyun was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life forms. They had come to this station specifically because it treated the most dangerous and unusual creatures in the galaxy. Back on Earth, Hyun had worked with wolves, bears, and even tigers. They understood that humans called these animals dangerous, but Hyun knew the truth. Most dangerous animals were just scared or hurt. "The thornback will arrive in 2 hours, Dr. Toval said. "It is sedated, but the drugs are wearing off. We do not know how long it will stay asleep." "What are its injuries?" Hyun asked. "A mining laser hit its left side. The burn is deep, very deep." Dr. Toval pulled up a holographic image. The wound looked terrible, even in the blue light of the hologram. The laser had burned through the thornback's armor and into the flesh beneath. "We will use surgical robots," Dr. Toval continued. "No one will need to get close to the creature." Hyun looked at the hologram more carefully. "The robots won't work. Look at the armor plating. It's too thick. The robots don't have tools strong enough to cut through it." Dr. Toval's whole body went still again. He knew Hyun was right. "Then what do you suggest?" he asked. "Someone will have to get close," Hyun said. "Someone will have to do the surgery by hand." The room erupted in noise. Everyone started talking at once, their voices mixing with clicks, whistles, and translated words. No one wanted to volunteer. Hyun understood why. Getting close to a thornback meant possible death. "I'll do it," Hyun said loudly. The room went silent. "You cannot be serious," Nurse Kix said. Her glow turned from blue to orange, which meant fear. "You are human. Your species is known for taking foolish risks. My species is known for understanding animals that others fear." Hyun replied. "We have worked with dangerous creatures for thousands of years. We learned how to see past the danger to understand what the animal truly needs." Dr. Toval studied Hyun for a long moment. "I cannot allow this. It is too dangerous." "Then the thornback will die," Hyun said simply. "Without treatment, the wound will become infected. The creature will die slowly and painfully. Is that what galactic law requires?" Dr. Toval did not answer. He knew Hyun was right again. The doors to the medical bay opened and Ji-won rushed in. Ji-won was another human, a shuttle pilot who had become Hyun's closest friend on the station. They had grown up together in the same small town in Korea, though they had not known each other then. Finding another human in this part of space had felt like a miracle. "I heard the alarm," Ji-won said, slightly out of breath. "What's happening?" "A thornback is coming," Hyun said. "And I'm going to treat it." Ji-won's eyes went wide. "No, absolutely not. Hyun, those things are killers. They are animals," Hyun said. "Scared, hurt animals. You always say that, Jiwan replied. Remember the tiger back home? The one that escaped from the sanctuary? You were just a kid and you walked right up to it. Hyun smiled at the memory. That tiger was terrified. It was lost and injured. Everyone was running around with guns and nets, making it more scared. I just sat down and waited. The tiger eventually came to me, and it could have killed you, Jiwan said. But it didn't because I showed it I was not a threat. A thornback is not a tiger, Dr. Toval said. No, Hyun agreed. But the principle is the same. Fear makes animals dangerous. If we approach with fear, we make the situation worse. If we approach with understanding, we have a chance. An hour later, the thornback arrived. The creature was inside a massive containment unit made of reinforced transparent material. Hyun stood with the others behind a safety barrier, watching as the unit was carefully moved into the medical bay's largest treatment room. The thornback was enormous. Even lying on its side, sedated and still, it was terrifying. Its body was covered in black armor that looked like polished stone. The crystalline spines along its back caught the light and sparkled like deadly jewels. 6 eyes were closed, but Hyun could see them moving beneath the lids. The creature was starting to wake up. The wound was worse in person than in the hologram. The laser had burned through armor and flesh, creating a hole as big as Hyun's head. The edges of the wound were black and oozing. Infection had already started. We are running out of time, Dr. Toval said. The sedative will wear off completely in less than an hour. Hyun took a deep breath. Then we should start preparing. The medical team began gathering equipment while Hyun studied the thornback through the transparent wall. Everyone else saw a monster, a killing machine that would wake up angry and violent. But Hyun tried to see deeper. What was this creature really feeling? What did it need? The answer would come soon. And when it did, everything would change. Part 2, the thornback's breathing changed. Hyun noticed it first, standing close to the containment unit while the others prepared equipment on the far side of the room. The creature's massive chest began rising and falling faster. Its spines, which had been flat against its back, started to lift slightly. It's waking up, Hyun called out. Dr. Toval rushed over, his many legs carrying him quickly across the floor. Already, the sedative should have lasted longer. We don't know enough about thornback biology, Hyun said. Maybe their metabolism is faster than we thought. Maybe the injury changed how the drugs work in its system. One of the thornback's eyes opened, then another. Then all 6 eyes were open, glowing a fierce amber color in the medical bay's bright lights. The creature saw the transparent walls. Around it saw the strange beings moving outside, and its body went rigid. The spines began to vibrate. A deep humming sound filled the room, so low that Hyun felt it in their chest more than heard it with their ears. The sound was like standing next to a massive engine, powerful and threatening. Everyone to the observation deck. Doctor, Toval shouted. Now! The medical staff ran for the exits. Nurse Kix's glow turned bright red as she fled. Equipment crashed to the floor in the rush to escape. Within seconds, only Hyun, Dr. Toval, and Jiwan remained in the treatment room. Hyun, we need to leave, Jiwan said, grabbing Hyun's arm. Not yet, Hyun replied, gently pulling free. I need to watch it. Watch it kill you? Jiwan's voice was tight with fear. Please, let's just go. Look at it, Hyun said softly. Really look. The thornback was now fully awake. It tried to stand, but its legs buckled. The wound in its side was too painful. The creature fell back down with a sound like a boulder hitting the ground. It tried again with the same result. It looks angry, Jiwan said. No, Hyun replied. It looks scared. Dr. Toval made a sound that the translator didn't interpret. Scared? That creature could tear through these walls. It could kill everyone on this station. Then why hasn't it? Hyun asked. Look at what it's doing. The thornback had stopped trying to stand. Instead, it was pulling its legs close to its body, making itself smaller. Its spines were still vibrating, but now Hyun could see a pattern in the vibrations. They weren't random. They were rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Hyun had seen this behavior before, not in thornbacks because no one had ever observed them this closely, but in earth animals. Injured bears made themselves small when they were frightened. Wounded wolves tried to hide. Even hurt tigers would Try to appear less threatening when they were vulnerable. It's defensive, Hyun said, not aggressive. There's a difference. How can you possibly know that? Dr. Toval asked. Because I've spent my whole life learning to read animal behavior. Aggression looks different. An aggressive animal makes itself bigger, not smaller. It advances, it doesn't retreat. This creature is trying to protect itself, not attack us. We should sedate it again, Ji-won suggested. We can't, Dr. Toval said. We gave it the maximum safe dose. Another shot could kill it. We must wait for the drugs to clear its system before we can sedate it again. That will take at least 6 hours. It doesn't have 6 hours, Hyun said, pointing at the wound. That infection is spreading. Look at the discoloration. In 6 hours, the infection will be in its bloodstream. It will be too late. Dr. Toval's antennae drooped, a sign of despair. Then there is nothing we can do. The creature will die and it is a tragedy, but we cannot risk. I can treat it now, Hyun interrupted. While it's awake. Absolutely not, Dr. Toval said firmly. I cannot allow it. Then you're letting it die because you're afraid, Hyun said. The words came out harsher than intended, but they were true. Every report I read about thornback attacks had the same pattern. People approached them with weapons, with nets, with force. The thornbacks responded to that threat. They defended themselves. Has anyone ever tried approaching one peacefully? Dr. Toval was silent. The answer was obvious. No one had ever tried. I can do this, Hyun said quietly. I know I can, but I need you to trust me. Hyun, Ji-won said, I've known you since we were kids. I know you're good with animals, but this isn't like the strays we helped back home. This is an alien creature, we don't understand it. Fear is universal, Hyun replied. Pain is universal, and so is kindness. Those things exist in every creature, whether they're from Earth or from the other side of the galaxy. I believe that. Dr. Toval watched the thornback for a long moment. The creature had stopped moving almost entirely. Only its eyes moved, tracking the 3 figures outside the containment unit. If I allow this, Dr. Toval said slowly, and you are killed, it will be my responsibility. The other medical staff already think humans are reckless. They call your species death worlders because you come from a dangerous planet and take foolish risks. Then let me prove them wrong, Hyun said. Let me show that humans don't take foolish risks. We take calculated ones. We understand things that others miss because we've learned to look past our fear. The station's security chief arrived, a large being covered in thick gray skin. I have been monitoring this situation, the chief said. I recommend immediate euthanasia. This creature is too dangerous to keep on the station. No, Dr. Toval said. His voice was firm, and Hyun felt a small spark of hope. We will not kill a protected species because we are afraid. That is not what we do here. The security chief's eyes narrowed. Then what do you propose? Dr. Toval turned to Hyun. You have one chance, one attempt. If the thornback shows any sign of aggression, we will activate the emergency protocols and flood the containment unit with knockout gas. Do you understand? I understand, Hyun said. And if the gas doesn't work? The security chief demanded. Then we will deal with that situation if it happens, Dr. Toval replied. But I believe in giving every creature a chance, even the ones we fear. Hyun felt grateful for Dr. Toval's words. The alien doctor was scared, anyone could see that. But he was choosing to trust despite his fear. That took real courage. I'm coming with you, Ji-won said suddenly. No, Hyun said. You don't have training in xenobiology. You're a pilot. And you're my friend, Ji-won replied. I won't let you go in there alone. I'll stay by the door. I won't interfere. But I'll be there if you need help. Hyun wanted to argue, but the look on Ji-won's face made it clear that arguing would be useless. Fine, but you stay by the entrance, promise me. I promise, Ji-won said. Dr. Toval moved to the control panel. I will open the containment unit. The thornback will be able to move freely. Are you certain about this? Hyun looked at the creature one more time. It was watching them with all 6 eyes. Those eyes held intelligence, Hyun was sure of it. This was not a mindless beast. This was a living being capable of thought and feeling. "I'm certain," Hyun said. The security chief spoke into a communicator. "All personnel, this is a code red situation. Clear the medical wing. Observation only from remote locations. If this goes wrong, seal all blast doors immediately." Through the windows, Hyun could see the other medical staff gathering in the observation room above. They pressed against the glass watching. Some looked curious. Most looked terrified. Nurse Kix was glowing so brightly with fear that she lit up the entire observation deck. "Opening containment unit," Dr. Toval announced. "May the stars protect you, Hyun." The transparent walls began to lower into the floor. The humming from the thornback spines grew louder. The creature watched the walls descend, its body tensing. Hyun took a deep breath and stepped forward. This was it. The moment that would either prove humans understood something important about the galaxy's dangerous creatures, or the moment that would prove everyone else right about Deathworlders taking foolish risks. Hyun chose to believe in the first option. Fear and understanding could not exist in the same space. One had to give way to the other, and Hyun had never been very good at being afraid. Part 3. The containment walls were completely down now. Nothing stood between Hyun and the thornback except 10 feet of open space and the creature's fear. The thornback raised itself up. Even wounded, even scared, it was magnificent. 12 feet tall, its armored body gleamed under the medical bay's lights. The crystalline spines along its back extended fully, each one as long as Hyun's arm and sharp enough to cut through steel. The creature's 6 amber eyes fixed on Hyun with an intensity that made the air feel electric. From the observation deck above, someone screamed. Through the intercom, Dr. Toval's voice came through, tight with fear.
"Hyun, get back!"
"It's preparing to attack." But Hyun saw something different. The thornback's spines were vibrating in that same pattern, rhythmic like a heartbeat. Its legs were positioned oddly, not for lunging forward but for pushing backward, and its smaller secondary limbs, 4 of them clustered near its chest, were tucked tight against its body. Hyun stopped walking and stood very still. They kept their hands visible at their sides, palms open. No weapons, no threat. Just one living being looking at another. "She's just afraid," Hyun said, speaking clearly so everyone listening could hear. "She?" Dr. Toval's voice crackled through the intercom. "How can you possibly know its sex?" Hyun gestured slowly toward the thornback, careful to make no sudden movements. "Look at the secondary limbs. They're positioned over the abdomen. That's protective behavior. And if you look closely at the lower body structure, there's a slight swelling. She's pregnant." Silence filled the intercom. Everyone was processing this information. A pregnant thornback. That changed everything. "Every recorded thornback attack," Hyun continued, still speaking slowly and calmly, "happened during what we assumed was territorial defense. But what if it wasn't territorial? What if they were defending nests? Protecting unborn young? We've been calling them aggressive killers, but maybe they were just scared mothers." The thornback's spines vibrated louder. The sound filled the medical bay, making equipment rattle on the shelves. But Hyun didn't move backward. Instead, they slowly knelt down. "Hyun, what are you doing?" Ji-won called from the doorway. "Making myself smaller," Hyun replied, less threatening. "I'm showing her I'm not a danger to her or her babies." On Earth, Hyun had done this with wolves, with bears, with big cats. Predators understood body language across species. Size meant threat, smaller meant safer. It was a language older than words, written into the survival instincts of every creature that had ever needed to judge friend from foe. The thornback tilted its massive head, watching. One eye closed, then opened again. Then another eye did the same. Not a blink, something else. Some kind of signal. Hyun took a risk. They closed their own eyes briefly, then opened them. Mirroring the gesture, the thornback's spine stopped vibrating. The sudden silence was shocking. For several heartbeats, nothing happened. The creature and the human simply looked at each other, separated by a few feet and by the vast difference of their origins. Then, slowly, the thornback lowered itself closer to the ground. Not collapsing, not falling, choosing to make itself smaller too. "It's working," Dr. Toval whispered over the intercom. "I cannot believe it, but it's working." Hyun began speaking in a soft, steady voice. The words didn't matter. The Thornback couldn't understand human language. But tone was universal. Calm and gentle, like speaking to a frightened child. You're hurt. I know you're hurt. And you're scared because you don't know where you are or who we are. You don't know if we want to help or harm. But I promise you, I only want to help. That wound on your side, it must hurt terribly. Let me look at it. Let me make it better. The Thornback made a sound. Not the threatening hum from before, but something softer. A low rumble that came from deep in its chest. Hyun had never heard a Thornback vocalize before. No one had. But something about the sound felt like communication. Like the creature was trying to respond. I'm going to move closer now, Hyun said. Very slowly. If you want me to stop, just make that humming sound again. I'll stop immediately. I promise. Hyun shifted forward on their knees. 6 inches. The Thornback watched but didn't move. Another 6 inches. Still no response. Hyun kept going, moving slowly, giving the creature plenty of time to react if it wanted to. Up in the observation deck, every being pressed against the glass. No one made a sound. They were watching something that shouldn't be possible. A human, small and vulnerable, approaching one of the galaxy's most feared predators. And the predator was letting them. When Hyun was just 3 feet away, they stopped. This close, they could see details invisible from farther back. The Thornback's armor wasn't perfectly smooth. It had patterns etched into it, like tree rings or fingerprints. Each spine had tiny facets that caught the light differently. The creature's eyes weren't uniform amber but had flecks of gold and brown, deep and complex. You're beautiful, Hyun whispered. Everyone thinks you're a monster, but you're just an animal trying to survive, trying to protect your babies. There's nothing monstrous about that. The Thornback's eyes closed and opened again in that deliberate pattern. All 6 eyes, one after another. Then it did something that made Hyun's breath catch. It turned its body slightly, exposing the wounded side more fully, presenting the injury. Asking for help. Dr. Tovel, Hyun said quietly. I need medical supplies. The basic kit. Can someone bring it to the door? I will bring it myself, Dr. Tovel replied. A minute later, the door opened slightly. Dr. Tovel slid a medical kit across the floor, then quickly retreated. Hyun could hear his legs clicking rapidly against the floor as he hurried away, the Velrithian equivalent of a racing heartbeat. Hyun retrieved the kit and opened it. Inside were scanning devices, antiseptic solutions, bandaging materials, and basic surgical tools. Not enough for major surgery, but enough to examine the wound and provide initial treatment. I'm going to touch you now, Hyun said to the Thornback. It might hurt a little. I'll be as gentle as I can. Hyun reached out slowly. Their hand hovered inches from the Thornback's armored side, just beside the wound. The creature watched but didn't pull away. Hyun's fingers touched the armor. It was warm, warmer than expected. Not like stone or metal, but like touching another living being. Because that's what this was, a living being, not a monster. The Thornback made that soft rumbling sound again. Not distress, something else. Acknowledgement, maybe. Or perhaps relief that someone was finally trying to help instead of hurt. Hyun pulled out a medical scanner and moved it over the wound. The device hummed softly, collecting data. Numbers and images appeared on the small screen, and what Hyun saw made their heart sink. Dr. Tovel, are you seeing this? Hyun asked. The scanner was transmitting data to the observation deck. Yes, Dr. Tovel replied. His voice was heavy. The wound goes deeper than we thought. It penetrated to the egg chamber, Hyun said, studying the scan. Inside the Thornback's body, they could see 3 eggs. But one of them looked wrong. Damaged. The shell was cracked, and the scan showed the developing life inside was failing. The damaged egg is leaking fluid into her system, Hyun continued. It's poisoning her. That's why the infection is spreading so fast. Then we must remove it, Dr. Tovel said. But that requires surgery. Complex surgery? Hyun, you cannot do that alone, and we cannot bring in the surgical robots. They would terrify the creature. Hyun thought for a moment. Then you'll have to guide me. Tell me what to do step by step. I'll be your hands, and that is unprecedented, Dr. Tovel said. Everything about this is unprecedented, Hyun replied. But it's the only way. The Thornback made a low sound. Hyun looked at the creature and saw something that might have been understanding in those alien eyes. Did she know her baby was dying? Did she understand that these strange beings were trying to save her and the 2 healthy eggs that remained? Maybe understanding didn't need words. Maybe it existed in that space between fear and trust, where one being recognized another's intention to help. We need proper surgical tools, Hyun said, and monitoring equipment. Can you bring those? I will bring them, Dr. Toval said. Then, after a pause, and I will assist you. In person, that surprised Hyun. Are you sure? No, Dr. Toval admitted. I am terrified. But you have shown me something important today. You have shown me that my fear was making me blind. I have been a veterinarian for 30 years, and I forgot the most basic truth. Every creature, no matter how dangerous it seems, deserves to be seen as an individual. Not as a threat category or a danger rating, as a being with its own needs and fears. The door opened again. This time Dr. Toval didn't just slide equipment through. He walked in, carrying a large case of surgical tools. His movements were jerky with fear, but he kept walking until he stood beside Hyun. The Thornback watched him approach. Her spines lifted slightly and Dr. Toval froze. It's okay, Hyun said gently, speaking to both the doctor and the creature. He's here to help too. He's a healer like me. We both want to make you better. The Thornback's spine slowly lowered. She settled back down, keeping her wounded side exposed. Dr. Toval let out a breath that rattled through his translator. I have never seen anything like this in my entire career. Neither have I, Hyun admitted. But I think we're about to learn something the galaxy needs to know. These creatures aren't the monsters we thought they were. Part 4. The surgery took 4 hours. 4 hours of careful, precise work, while the Thornback remained conscious and aware of everything happening. Hyun had never experienced anything like it in their entire career. Dr. Toval guided every cut, every movement. His voice came steady through the communicator, directing Hyun's hands with the expertise of decades of experience. Nurse Kix monitored vital signs from the observation deck, calling out numbers and warnings when the Thornback's stress levels rose too high. The hardest part was cutting through the armor around the wound. The Thornback's natural plating was incredibly strong, designed to protect against anything the galaxy could throw at it. But it also made medical treatment nearly impossible. The laser burn had created an opening, but Hyun needed to widen it carefully to reach the damaged egg. Applying cutting tool now, Hyun said, activating a medical laser designed for precise work. The beam hummed softly as it touched the armor. The Thornback's body went rigid, her spines lifted, and that deep humming sound filled the air again. I know it hurts, Hyun said softly, pausing the laser. I'm sorry. I wish we could give you something for the pain, but the sedatives are too dangerous right now. Can you be brave for just a little longer? The humming stopped. The Thornback's 6 eyes fixed on Hyun, and something passed between them. Some wordless agreement. The creature's body relaxed slightly and Hyun understood. She was giving permission. She was choosing to endure the pain because she understood they were trying to help. Hyun continued working, moving as quickly as possible while still being careful. Every few minutes they would pause and place a hand gently on the Thornback's armor, a small gesture of comfort. The creature would respond with that soft rumbling sound, and then Hyun would continue. Dr. Toval had moved closer during the surgery. He stood just a few feet away now, no longer hiding by the door. His fear hadn't disappeared, but he was managing it. He was choosing to trust just like the Thornback was. You are through the armor, Dr. Toval said. Now you must access the egg chamber. This will be delicate, very delicate. The damaged egg is fragile. If it ruptures completely before removal, the toxins will flood her system. Understood, Hyun replied. They switched to smaller, more precise tools. Through the opening in the armor, they could see the soft tissue beneath. It was surprisingly similar to Earth biology. Muscles, blood vessels, protective membranes. Life followed certain patterns no matter where in the universe it evolved. Creating access point to egg chamber, Hyun narrated, making a careful incision. The Thornback trembled but stayed still, and then Hyun could see them. 3 eggs, each about the size of a football, nestled in a protected chamber inside the Thornback's body. 2 of them were healthy, their shells gleaming with an iridescent sheen. The 3rd egg was cracked, dark fluid leaking from the damaged shell. I can see the damaged egg, Hyun reported. It's worse than the scan showed. You must remove it, Dr. Toval said. But be extremely careful not to damage the other 2 eggs. They share some blood supply. If you cut the wrong vessel, all 3 could be lost. Hyun took a deep breath. This was the critical moment. Everything depended on the next few minutes. They began the delicate work of separating the damaged egg from the healthy ones. It was like performing surgery while walking on a tightrope. Every movement had to be exact. Every cut had to be in precisely the right place. The thornback made a sound, different from before, higher, more distressed. Hyun paused immediately. What is it? Dr. Toval asked. She knows, Hyun said quietly. She knows one of her babies is dying. The thornback's massive head turned, trying to see what Hyun was doing. Her eyes found the damaged egg, visible through the opening in her side. She made that sound again, a low, mournful keen that echoed through the medical bay. Hyun felt tears sting their eyes. Grief was universal too. Every parent, every species knew the pain of losing a child. I'm so sorry, Hyun whispered. I'm so sorry. But I have to take it out to save you and the others. Do you understand? Your other two babies need you to survive this. The thornback's keening stopped. She lowered her head and went completely still except for the tears that leaked from her eyes. Hyun hadn't known thornbacks could cry, but the evidence was right there. Clear fluid running down the creature's armored face. Continue, Dr. Toval said softly. We must finish this. Hyun worked through their own tears, making the final cuts to separate the damaged egg. When it was free, they lifted it carefully and placed it in a medical container. The life inside had already passed. Hyun could see that clearly now. But it deserved to be handled with respect. Damaged egg removed, Hyun reported. Beginning cleanup of the chamber. The next hour was spent carefully cleaning out the toxins and damaged tissue, making sure no infection remained. Hyun worked mechanically, forcing themselves to focus on the technical aspects because thinking about the emotional weight would make it impossible to continue. Finally, it was done. The chamber was clean. The two remaining eggs looked healthy. Hyun could see tiny movements inside them. The babies were alive and developing normally. Closing the incision now, Hyun said. Using specialized medical adhesive and synthetic tissue, they sealed the opening. The thornback's body would heal the rest naturally, assuming she survived the next critical hours. When the last seal was in place, Hyun sat back, exhausted. Every muscle ached. Their hands were shaking from the sustained precision work. It's done, Hyun said. She should recover now. The thornback turned her head again, looking at Hyun. Then she did something that no one watching would ever forget. She carefully extended one of her primary claws, the massive, sharp appendages that could tear through metal, and gently, with impossible delicacy, touched Hyun's shoulder. The touch was brief, lasting only a second. But in that moment, Hyun felt the weight of communication, gratitude, trust, recognition that Hyun had done something important. Did you see that? Nurse Kix's voice came through the intercom, filled with wonder. Did everyone see that? Recorded and documented, another voice confirmed. The first recorded peaceful contact with a thornback. The first documented gesture of, I believe the word is affection. Hyun reached up slowly and placed their hand on the thornback's claw. You're welcome, they said. You were so brave. You were amazing. The thornback made that soft rumbling sound one more time. Then her eyes began to close one after another. Not from pain or fear, but from exhaustion. She was going to sleep, real natural sleep. Not forced unconsciousness from drugs, but the sleep of a creature that felt safe enough to rest. Dr. Toval approached slowly, standing beside Hyun. Together they watched the thornback's breathing settle into a steady rhythm. I have been wrong, Dr. Toval said quietly. For many years I have been wrong. I let my fear decide what was possible. I let old stories and statistics tell me that some creatures were beyond help. But you showed me something today. You showed me that understanding is always possible if we are brave enough to try. You were brave too, Hyun said. You came in here even though you were scared. That's what courage really is. Not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. Ji-won finally entered from the doorway where they had been standing the entire time. Is it over? Is everyone okay? Yes, Hyun said. She's going to be fine. The two remaining eggs are healthy. In a few months, she'll have 2 healthy babies. Ji-won looked at the sleeping thornback, then at the container holding the damaged egg. What will you do with it? We will handle it with respect, Dr. Toval said. We will study it to learn more about thornback biology, but we will do so honorably. That life mattered, even though it could not be saved. The medical bay doors opened and the rest of the staff began filtering in. They moved quietly, respectfully, gathering around to see the sleeping Thornback up close for the first time. Nurse Kix approached Hyun. Her glow had returned to a calm blue. "I apologize," she said. "I called humans foolish. I called you reckless. But what you did today was not foolishness. It was wisdom. It was seeing something the rest of us were too afraid to see." "You weren't wrong to be afraid," Hyun replied. "Fear is natural. It keeps us alive. But we can't let it stop us from trying to understand. Every creature in this galaxy deserves to be understood, not just judged." The station commander arrived, a tall being with silver skin. "The galactic news networks are already reporting what happened here. Someone leaked the observation footage. By tomorrow, everyone in known space will have seen a human approach a Thornback peacefully." "Will that cause problems?" Hyun asked. "Problems?" The commander smiled. "No, this will cause a revolution. You have proven that the most dangerous species in the galaxy was never truly understood. You have shown that fear and ignorance created the violence, not the creatures themselves. This changes everything." Hyun looked at the sleeping Thornback. She looked peaceful now, no longer scared or in pain. Just a mother resting after a difficult ordeal with two precious lives growing inside her. "She needs a name," Hyun said. "We can't keep calling her the Thornback. She's an individual. She deserves a name." "What would you name her?" Dr. Toval asked. Hyun thought for a moment. "Bomi, it's a Korean name. It means spring, new life, new beginnings." "That feels right." "Bomi," Dr. Toval repeated. "Yes, that is perfect." Part 5. 3 months passed like a dream. Bomi recovered fully from her surgery, her wound healing with remarkable speed once the infection was gone. But she did something unexpected. She refused to leave the station. Thornback experts from across the galaxy studied this behavior. They said it was unprecedented. Thornbacks were solitary creatures, they claimed. They never stayed near other species willingly. But Bomi stayed, settling into a specially built habitat attached to the medical bay. She seemed content there, often visible through the observation windows, watching the medical staff go about their work. Hyun visited her every day. Sometimes they would sit together in comfortable silence. Other times Hyun would talk about their day, and Bomi would make those soft rumbling sounds in response. It wasn't conversation, not in any traditional sense, but it was communication. It was connection. The footage of Hyun approaching Bomi had indeed spread across the galaxy. Within days, it had been viewed billions of times. News programs analyzed it, scientists debated it, and slowly, carefully, attitudes began to shift. The Galactic Veterinary Council called an emergency session. They reviewed every recorded Thornback encounter in history. What they found changed everything. Every single attack had followed the same pattern. Thornbacks were discovered near what researchers had assumed were territorial boundaries. Capture teams would arrive with weapons and containment equipment. The Thornbacks would become defensive. Violence would follow. But those weren't territorial boundaries. They were nesting sites. The Thornbacks had been protecting eggs, protecting unborn children. And the galaxy had called them monsters for defending their families. "We were wrong," the council's statement read. "For over a century, we have misunderstood an entire species. We allowed fear and incomplete data to guide our actions. Thanks to the bravery of one human xenobiologist, we now know the truth. Thornbacks are not aggressive predators. They are protective parents." The council issued new protocols for all dangerous species. Approach with understanding first. Look for signs of defensive behavior versus aggressive behavior. Never assume violence is inevitable, and most importantly, involve specialists who studied animal behavior, not just those who studied weapons and containment. Dr. Toval became one of the leaders of this new movement. He developed training programs teaching veterinarians to recognize fear and pain in unfamiliar species. He brought Hyun in as a consultant, and together they taught hundreds of medical professionals the lessons learned from Bomi. Nurse Kix requested a transfer to work specifically with dangerous species. "I want to overcome my fear," she told Hyun. "You showed me that fear makes us blind. I want to learn to see clearly." Ji-won started a new business venture, a specialized transport service for injured rare creatures, with human behavioral specialists on every ship. "Humans have this gift," Ji-won explained to investors. "We can read emotions across species barriers. That's valuable. That's worth building a company around." As for Hyun, they received countless offers, director positions, research grants, fame and recognition. They declined them all. I'm not interested in directing or administrating, Hyun said. I want to keep working with animals. That's where I belong. But the most important development happened in Bomi's habitat. On a quiet evening 3 months after the surgery, Hyun was sitting beside Bomi, reading a book while the thornback rested. Suddenly, Bomi made a sound Hyun had never heard before, urgent but not distressed. Excited maybe, what is it? Hyun asked, setting down the book. Bomi's spines began vibrating in a new pattern, rapid and rhythmic. Then Hyun heard another sound. A tiny chirping noise, high-pitched and delicate. The eggs were hatching. Hyun called Dr. Toval immediately. Within minutes, the observation room filled with staff members, all watching through the windows as Bomi's babies came into the world. The first egg cracked open, and a small thornback emerged. It was about the size of a large dog, its armor soft and gray instead of the hard black of an adult. Its spines were small and flexible, like rubber instead of crystal. It made that chirping sound again, and Bomi responded with her rumbling call. The second egg hatched moments later, and another baby appeared. This one was slightly smaller but seemed just as healthy. Both babies immediately moved toward their mother, seeking warmth and protection. Bomi curled her massive body around her offspring, creating a protective barrier. But she kept her head turned toward Hyun, her 6 eyes bright and alert. Then she did something that made everyone in the observation room go silent. She gently nudged one of the babies toward Hyun. "What is she doing?" someone whispered. "I think," Dr. Toval said slowly, "she is introducing her children, showing them that Hyun is safe, that Hyun is family." The baby thornback approached Hyun cautiously, its small eyes curious. It chirped softly, and Hyun extended a hand slowly. The baby sniffed Hyun's fingers, then made a happy chirping sound and bumped its head against Hyun's palm. Hyun felt tears on their face. This tiny creature, born just minutes ago, was showing trust. Because its mother trusted. Because Bomi was teaching her children that not all strangers were dangerous. That some beings, no matter how different they looked, could be kind. The second baby, emboldened by its sibling, approached as well. Soon Hyun was sitting with 2 baby thornbacks climbing over them, chirping and exploring. Bomi watched, making that contented rumbling sound. "This is unprecedented," a researcher said, recording everything. "No human has ever been allowed near thornback young. This is revolutionary." Over the next few weeks, preparations were made for Bomi's departure. She was healthy. Her babies were strong and growing quickly. It was time for them to return to their homeworld, to the vast forests where thornbacks lived. The day of departure arrived with mixed emotions. Hyun was happy that Bomi and her children would be free, but sad to see them go. They had become such an important part of daily life on the station. A special transport ship arrived, designed for maximum comfort. No cages, no containment fields. Just a large open space where Bomi and her babies could travel safely. Hyun walked with them to the loading bay. Bomi moved slowly, her children following close behind. The babies had bonded with Hyun over the weeks, and they chirped sadly as they walked, sensing the goodbye. At the entrance to the transport, Bomi stopped. She turned to face Hyun directly. Then she lowered her massive head until her forehead touched Hyun's. It was the most intimate gesture Hyun had ever witnessed from an animal. A moment of pure connection, transcending species and language. Hyun placed both hands on Bomi's armored head. "Thank you," Hyun whispered. "Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for showing everyone that fear and understanding can't exist in the same space, that we always have a choice." Bomi's spines began to vibrate. Not the fearful hum from their first meeting, but something new, something beautiful. The sound was complex, layered, almost musical. "What is that sound?" Jiwon asked, standing nearby. Dr. Toval checked his datapad. "According to Thornback experts, it's a bonding call. The sound mothers make with their young. The sound that means family." Everyone in the loading bay stood in awed silence as Bomi's song filled the space. She was claiming Hyun as family, as someone who would always be remembered, always be trusted, always be loved in whatever way a thornback could love. When the song ended, Bomi gently pulled away. She called to her babies, and they reluctantly left Hyun's side to follow their mother onto the transport. As the ship prepared for departure, Hyun stood at the window, watching. Bomi and her children were visible through the transport's viewing ports. The babies played together while Bomi watched over them, her head occasionally turning to look back at the station. At Hyun, the ship lifted off smoothly, carrying its precious cargo back home. Dr. Toval joined Hyun at the window.
You know what you've done, don't you?
You changed everything. Thornback attacks have dropped by 90% since new protocols were implemented. The species is being reclassified from apex predator to protected maternal species. Entire textbooks are being rewritten. I didn't do anything special, Hyun said. I just saw a scared mother and tried to help. That is special, Dr. Toval replied. Most beings would have seen a monster. You saw an individual. You saw past your fear to recognize pain and need. That ability, that is what makes your species remarkable. Hyun smiled. Not just my species. You saw it too. So did Nurse Kix. So did everyone who chose to trust instead of fear. That's the real lesson here. Understanding is always a choice. Fear is automatic, but compassion requires courage. The transport ship grew smaller in the distance, eventually disappearing among the stars. Somewhere out there, Bomi would raise her children in safety. She would teach them about the strange small being who had helped them. And maybe, just maybe, those children would remember that not all aliens were dangerous, that some could be trusted. That night, Hyun received a message from the Galactic News Network. They wanted an interview asking Hyun to explain what happened with Bomi. Hyun almost declined, but then thought better of it. If this message could reach even one person, one being who was afraid of something they didn't understand, maybe it would help. Maybe it would encourage them to look past their fear and try to understand instead. The interview was broadcast across the galaxy. Hyun sat in the medical bay, tea,